We've got bold predictions that'll either make us look like geniuses or we'll be clipped and roasted come December. We've got team previews to talk about and a whole lot of stuff going on. If you've been looking for that college football show, you found it. Let's go. Welcome in, everybody, to that college football show. I am Jeremy JJ Jeffcoat, longtime broadcaster and contributor at SaturdayBlitz.com, host of Sports Blitz Live, as well as the AHSAA Radio Network scoreboard show, and former host of Southern Sports Tonight. When we get him back, we lost him. There he is. He is former national champion linebacker at Auburn, Eltoro Freeman. How you doing, big dog?
Doing great, Jay. How about yourself, man?
I'm good, man. I'm ready to talk ball tonight. We got a fun show coming up. Before we get going, listen, do us a favor. Look down below you. If you see that subscribe button, that means that you're not subscribed yet. So click that subscribe button, click the like button, leave a comment. All of that helps us. It's free, and it takes you literally just a few seconds to do it. So if you would, please do that for us. Eltoro, we're going to preview some teams tonight. We're going to have a little fun at the end of the show. We're going to talk about jersey patches. I just want to get your thoughts on a couple of things. And we're going to start the show tonight with some bold predictions. Now, always risky doing bold predictions, right? Because they're not bold if there's something that's likely to happen. They're bold if it's something that would make you go, whoa, I can't believe that happened, right? So bold predictions tonight could be anything in college football. I've got some, you've got some. So let's get into bold predictions tonight. There were a lot of things to think about on this. I want to start with you, Eltoro. Give me your first bold prediction for the 2026 season.
Louisville upset Ole Miss.
I like it. That's right out the gate, right? Week one?
Right out the gate.
Man.
You know, Louisville a very scary, dangerous team. You know, Ole Miss. If Ole Miss not at the top of their game, it can get grimy. It can get real grimy. You know, they did it before last year with Miami.
Yeah, you see it, but it seems like they do it every year, right? I mean,
yes.
Louisville seems to be giant killers about once a year. You know what? It's bold. It's unexpected. Nobody's going to be looking for it, but it could happen, man. It could happen. All right, I'm going to give you my first one. You ready for this?
What you got, Jay?
The Ohio State Buckeyes will not make the college football playoff.
Ooh.
Look, I've got reasons. I'm going to give them to you real quick. They lost, I believe it's 7 starters on defense. 4 of them were first-round draft picks, man. I like Julian Sayin as a quarterback. I don't think he's very dynamic. He's a high completion guy. He's going to throw it underneath. He's going to take the safe play. He's not going to take any chances. But you've got Jeremiah Smith out there. I would rather have a gunslinger if I got Jeremiah Smith out there. But I think when I look at the schedule this year, they're at Texas in week 2. That's tough.
Huge game.
They're at Iowa coming up 3 weeks later. And Iowa can get sneaky on you, man. They're going to run the ball. They're going to shorten the game. They're going to chew the clock and then try to get into the fourth quarter with you. 2 weeks after that, they go on the road to the defending national champs, Indiana. Then they get an off week. Then they go out to California to take on USC. And you get out to USC, you got a coach who's coaching for his job. You got a team that had a number 1 recruiting class a year ago. You've got some talent at USC. Jaden Maeva is a good quarterback. So I look at that as a potential loss. Then they come home and they got to play Oregon. Oregon may have the best team this year that they've ever had in school history. Just in terms of raw talent, maybe their best one.
I agree with that.
And then they end the season, of course, at home with Michigan. We know that Ryan Day has struggled with Michigan at times. I'm thinking this team finds a way into 3 losses. And everybody will argue that they should get in because they had a hard schedule. But I think there's going to be other 3-loss teams with better schedules. I think it's possible that Ohio State gets left out of the playoff.
Now, Jay, before you gave me that breakdown, Jay, I was like, man, you out of your mind. But when you gave me that breakdown, Jay, I can kind of see why you say that.
I'm just, it's a bold prediction. I'm not
Yeah,
expecting it. I'm just telling you it could happen.
yeah,
And that
it
would,
makes sense. Your
yeah,
breakdown makes
I
sense.
think that would blow everybody's mind. I know it
Oh,
would blow
without a
mine.
question.
All right. What you got for me?
Florida Gators make the college football playoffs.
All right. So we've been talking Florida. We're both pretty high on Florida. They would probably have to get to 10 wins to get there.
Mm-hmm.
They need to pull a couple of upsets this season. They do get Texas in the swamp. That would be a big one.
Man, that'll be huge.
All right, the Florida Gators. All right, for that to happen, though, Aaron Philo, transfer quarterback from Georgia Tech, who I think is going to win the starting job, although I hear it's like 50-50 right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not. I have thought about that and thought about that. I have trouble getting them past 9, but 10's just one more win.
Just one more, Jay.
Yes, just one more, man.
Yeah.
Field goal, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right, I got another one for you. The Oklahoma Sooners finished the season outside of the top 25. I'll tell you where I'm going. And again, I always look at schedule. I just think it matters. They got to go to the big house in week 2. They go to Michigan. Now, Michigan's got a new coach, but it's not just any new coach. I mean, we're talking about a guy who's won an incredible amount of games at Utah, and he's going to be physical. He's going to run the ball. He's going to play defense. All the things that Michigan is kind of known for, right? So you get him on the road at the big house in week 2. That could be tricky. Then in week 4, they're on the road at Georgia in Athens. We know what that is. Then they got Texas in the Red River game, neutral site. Back-to-back weeks, Georgia and Texas. They could be 2-3 after 5 games if all that happens. At Mississippi State could be tricky if you're 2 or say you're 3-3 at that time, and you're on life support at that point.
Right. No momentum.
They come home, play South Carolina on the road to the Florida Gators that you just projected in the playoff. Then they're hosting Ole Miss, hosting Texas A&M, and then finish it on the road to Missouri. This could be a 7-5 team when it's all said and done, man.
No, without a question. Without a question, Jay.
All right, what else you got for me?
Now, I'm going to say the best one for last, Jay.
I know. What else?
Are you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
Auburn beats Alabama in the Iron Bowl. Knocks them out of the playoff and possibly out of the top 25.
There's some Bama fans like palpitating a little bit over the thought of that. And look, I told you the other day, I'm not expecting Auburn to win the Iron Bowl this year because they haven't won in Tuscaloosa in a long time, and it's first year for Golish. It's bold, but I'm not discounting it. All right, my final one. Here we go. Bold prediction. Dan Mullen will lead UNLV to the college football playoff and then return to the Power 4 as a head coach. Are you ready for this? At his old school Mississippi State.
Love it.
It's weird. That. A lot of things would have to happen for that to happen. But think about
Jay. That is not out of the question. I mean, that's possible, Jay.
Now, UNLV, the thing with UNLV is they won, I guess, 9-10 games last year when you count the postseason. So they were there. I mean, now they've got Jackson Arnold, who I know you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Jackson Arnold can run, man. And Dan's not asking you to make like quick on the spot decisions. Dan wants you to zone read it, keep it or don't keep it, and he can run. And I think we're working with Mullen, he can get just enough out of Jackson Arnold. I really like Boise State too to maybe be the G6 representative in the playoffs. But to make it fit my bold prediction, let's go UNLV and Dan Mullen. And then if Mississippi State with Kamario Taylor doesn't have the kind of season that Lebby needs, it's a new era. It's a new era with the NIL and the transfer portal. Dan Mullen's when he went to Florida, the problem was that they said, well, he's not recruiting at a high enough level. Well, he doesn't have to do that anymore. You hire a GM and you let them handle the recruiting side and the budget and all that. His job is to coach football, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lead players. And he's good at coaching football. And I think Mississippi State's hungry to win. I think, all's fair in love and war, man. You welcome him back in, and Dan, it's good to have you home.
And I tell you what, man, it haven't been the same since he left, since his departure, So, I mean, I like it, Jay.
Bold predictions. I think they're bold, but man, I don't think any of those are completely impossible, man.
Oh, without a doubt.
Let's get into some season previews for 2026. How about the Missouri Tigers? I never know what to make of Missouri, Eltoro, just on a broad thing, because I'm on record on every show I've been on for the last 4 years. I am not the biggest Eli Drinkwitz fan. And then every year he makes me look stupid because he just goes out and keeps winning games. And he comes across to me a little bit like a used car salesman. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, he just goes out there and wins games. And the guy can run the ball. Their running game is fantastic. They are wide zone, wide zone, wide zone, wide zone, and they do it like over and over and over, and they do it as well as anyone. They've had problems being a balanced offense. Brady Cook was pretty good a couple of years ago, but now they bring in Austin Simmons, who was the starter at Ole Miss before he got hurt, and we found out how good Trinidad Chambliss was. So you bring in Austin Simmons, and you bring in Chip Lindsey as the new offensive coordinator. You're trying to upgrade that passing game. So Missouri, all of those, I think, are reasons to feel good. Ahmad Hardy had the unfortunate shooting at a concert, gets shot, but it looks like he's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
If not right away, at least early in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And so you've got one of the best running backs in the league too.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot to like about Missouri.
Yeah, it definitely is, Jay. And I tell you, one of the things that I like the most about them is their defense. I think they only gave up like 18 points a game last year. You know what I mean? So they have a stout defense, and I think they're gonna rely heavy on the running game on offense. Now, the question is, how well is the new transfer quarterback and Chip Lindsey, how well the chemistry is going to be, with some unproven talent at the wideout position. So that's the biggest question. And I think when you going against top tier opponents, you can struggle there. You can be competitive, but I think as the game go on, you'll find yourself on the wrong side of the scoreboard.
The problem is, like, every year I undervalue that team. Every year I undervalue them, and I pick them to go like 6-6 or 5-7, and they go 8-4, 9-3. It just happens every year. So I pulled up the schedule today. Arkansas Pine Bluff, that's the opener. They're at Kansas in week 2. That could be a little tricky. They get my Troy Trojans in week 3, but they'll probably win that one. This is a big one to me. Week 4, they're on the road in Starkville at Mississippi State. If Kamario Taylor is going to turn around Mississippi State this year with Jeff Lebby, I think Mississippi State needs that game.
Oh, without a question.
And Missouri needs it too if they're going to have a big year, because after that, the next 3 games, they host Florida, they host A&M, and then they go on the road to Ole Miss. 3 tough ones back to back to back. Then they go on the road to Arkansas. They host Texas. They're on the road at Georgia, host Oklahoma at the end of the year. So 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 4, maybe 5 games that they're going to be underdogs this year, and then some others that are going to be pretty tight. And they always have a good defense. They always play decent defense. They lost a lot in the portal, and they lost a lot to graduation. They lost Damon Wilson, but they do have a well-coordinated defense. They run their schemes well defensively. I think it's just about if Austin Simmons, last year, we thought Austin Simmons was going to be special at Ole Miss. He gets hurt early in the season. Trinidad Chambliss comes in, and he never gets the job back. So is Austin Simmons going to be special running that Missouri offense with Chip Lindsey? If he is, then I'll be wrong again. But right now, I got a few where do you think they are? Somewhere middle of the pack, or?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely see the middle of the pack. And reason being because of the quarterback and Chip Lindsey. You know what I mean? We don't know what we're going to get right off. And I think Austin can be special. Austin Simmons can be special, but I think it may take some time because, like I say, he got to build the chemistry up. You know, unproven talent at receiver. I think they're gonna take the ball out of his hand a lot. You know, due to them having a strong running game, and they're gonna look to the defense to win ball games for them. They're gonna look for the defense to stop players, to stop their opponents, and also to force turnovers, Jay. And I think they're more like right now in this phase in more of a rebuilding. This is a rebuilding season for them.
Yeah, I I get in trouble for, like I said, every year. Drinkwitz makes me look like an idiot, but I'm struggling to see them better than 7-5. You know what I mean? So
I'm gonna give you possibly, one more loss.
yeah,
Florida.
yeah.
I mean,
That's a
be
home game, but by then Florida's quarterback, whoever it is, may be
absolutely
rounding into form. You know what
there
I mean?
You go.
Let's do another preview, another season preview. I think I'm going to shock you a little bit here. Maybe not. Maybe we'll agree on this. We'll see. All right, the Vanderbilt Commodores are coming off a 10-2 season. It's the best season they've had, I don't know, 60, 70 years. I mean, they won a couple of titles, I think, back in the 40s. So
been a while.
It's been a while. So Clarkley, his first 3 years at Vanderbilt were absolutely atrocious. They were terrible. I'm talking about 2-win seasons. Then 2 years ago, Diego Pavia transfers in. They bring his offensive coordinator with him from New Mexico State. And for the last 2 years, they've been one of the tougher teams in the league, man. I mean, they've been up there competing. 10-2 last year. Did not make the playoff, but had chances. They played for the last 2 years with confidence. They played with toughness. They've been physical at the point of attack. All the things that we don't usually associate with Vanderbilt. What do you think about Vandy just overall?
I don't think the culture would change. I think that they will remain physical. They'll remain, aggressive at the point of attack. But when you lose a guy like Diego Pavia,
yeah.
When you lose that, it's hard to replace Jay. And then now you're relying on a freshman quarterback, against the SEC schedule. It doesn't seem that Vandy will be as competitive as they once was, like last year. You know what I mean? So I don't see them, Jay, honestly, winning over 5 games.
Yeah. You're replacing Pavia with a true freshman who's not really a dual threat guy. Mm-hmm. He's more of a stay in the pocket kind of guy. And that concerns me a lot. Plus, you lose one of the best tight ends in the country, who was a big part. But here's what bothers me the most. For the last 2 years, when you watch Vanderbilt, there are so many plays where it's 3rd and 4 or it's 4th and 2 or something like that. And Pavia, like maybe they don't block it up right, or maybe the defense has a good scheme against that play, and Pavia just makes a play, right? Just he escapes pressure and runs for a first down, or he falls backward and throws a lob over the defensive end's head, or whatever. Just those crazy little Diego Pavia plays that he's made for the last 2 years. And I don't know if your freshman's going to be ready to do that, and I don't know how much you look. I'm worried for Vanderbilt that they slip back to that 3-4 win area, because let me tell you, schedule makers didn't help them either. They're replacing Pavia. And I think if the season's going to go really bad, we're going to know in week 3. I'm going to tell you why. One of my surprise teams that I'm projecting for this year is the NC State Wolfpack. NC State comes to Nashville in week 3. If Dave Doran and the Wolfpack get that, and CJ Bailey get that win in Nashville, it's Katie bar the door at that point. Because the next week they go to Auburn, then they go to Georgia, then they host Ole Miss, they host Arkansas, where you presume they would have a chance there. Hosting them, probably be favored. At Kentucky's not going to be easy. At Mississippi State won't be easy. They host Alabama. They're on the road at Florida, and they finish with Tennessee. If they lose that NC State game, 3-9 is on the table at that point.
Without question.
All right, Eltoro, continuing now with our season previews. And we got a big one now. The 2026 Georgia Bulldogs. I look at this Georgia team, Eltoro, and I see, depending on which list you look at, the first or second best coach in the game, one of the best coaching staffs in football, 14 returning starters, elite talent all over the field, one of the more experienced offensive lines and better offensive lines in the country. I think Drew Bobo's probably the best center in the SEC this year. They've got a lot of experience. Nate Frazier at running back. Their running game should be just tough as nails. Defense returns a lot of playmakers. So I look at this Georgia team, man, and I'm going, maybe this is you've got Gunnar Stockton coming back at quarterback with basically a year and a half now of starting experience. Maybe this is that team that gets Kirby back into the national championship game. He hadn't been there in a few years now.
You're exactly right, Jay. This is the team can definitely get them back in there and possibly win it. Georgia, man, you already know, Jay, they're going to be physical. They're going to be aggressive. And I'm telling you one thing they got going for them this year too, Jay. They got a favorable schedule. I think they got one of the most favorable routes to get to the championship game or to get to the playoff than any team in college football. So that's a plus, Jay. And I look forward to Georgia, being there. I mean, the ceiling for them is a championship, and the floor, I would say, semis. I mean, that's the minimum. That's the minimum.
I think you're right. I think they should be there. Now, like every other team in college football, Georgia's got their own set of questions. So let's talk about those a little bit. Gunnar Stockton is a terrific college quarterback. He is not, I don't think anyway, we'll find out, I guess, next spring. I don't think he's an NFL prospect type player. I think he's a really terrific college quarterback. He's accurate. He's tough as nails. He's a good leader. He wins games. He comes up big in big moments. But there are some limitations. And last year, I think David Pollock, former Georgia All-American, said it a few months ago. For them to do what they need to do with this team, Gunnar Stockton's got to get better throwing the ball down the field. Now, last year, you had Zachariah Branch, the leading receiver, who's more of a catch and run guy. He's kind of a, catch it short, turn it into a big play guy. And so they threw a lot of screens. They threw a lot of hitches. They threw a lot of, short stuff and let Zachariah do his thing. But this year, you've got Isaiah Canyon transferring in from Georgia Tech, and you've got C.J. Wiley, the sophomore, coming in, highly recruited, one of those top 50, top 100 type guys. Both of them are 6'4", 215 pounds. Both of them are big body downfield guys. And I think they've got to come up big. A receiver that can make a play on the ball, that can turn a 50-50 ball into a 70-30 ball, does a lot of favors for a quarterback who maybe is not as accurate downfield as you would like.
You're absolutely right. And Jay, I think they're going to do just that, alongside with the running game and also the defense, and that helps out Gunnar a lot. All the pieces around him, make up for what he may lack. You know what I mean? And to add the new receivers into the mix, I mean, it just go right back to, man, I cannot see Georgia, if not in the national championship, making a huge run to be in the national championship. And I'm talking about, the semifinals.
Yeah, I think last year was a little bit of a bridge year for Georgia. They had a lot of young players last year, a little bit of one of those growing years where you're trying to figure it out. And now they did not rush the passer great last year.
That is a question more. Mm-hmm.
Gabe Harris is expected this year to be the guy that's going to really lead that charge. They went out and got Amaris Williams from Auburn out of the transfer portal. He was also going to help on the edge, but then Amaris got hurt in the spring. He's not going to be able to play this year. So, can Gabe Harris step it up as a pass rusher and really be one of those top guys in the league? But here's what I think. This is the kind of team that Kirby Smart just damn loves. He loves this kind of team. He's got experience. He's got guys who've played a lot of football. He's got guys coming back on defense, guys coming back on the offensive line. He's got Nate Frazier at running back. I think the plan going into this year is we're going to squeeze you to death. We're going to run the ball. We're going to play defense. We're going to take our points when we get them, and we're going to keep you off the scoreboard. We're just going to wrap around you and squeeze you to death. You know what I mean?
I'm with you, Jay. I'm with you, man. They got some unfinished business as well now. I don't think they like how their season ended last year. And then you got a guy like Donner, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't have to be the guy. I mean, he could be with all the pieces around him, and he can just manage the football game and don't make mistakes. Do not turn the ball over. I think they'd be in great shape, Jay. I think they'd be fine. I think they'd be perfectly fine.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned the schedule too, and there are no SEC easy schedules, but this one is maybe the easiest one in the league. You know what I mean?
Without a question.
Yeah, the schedule's not brutal. Tennessee State, Western Kentucky, we know what that is. Third game they go to Arkansas. They get Oklahoma, but they get them at home. They get Vanderbilt at home. They go on the road to Alabama. Alabama's beaten them in the regular season the last 2 years. This should be a revenge game for Georgia, but it's not going to be easy in Tuscaloosa. They get Auburn, but they get them at Sanford Stadium. They got Florida, but that game's not even in Jacksonville for the next 2 years while the stadium is being renovated. They're going to play this one in Atlanta, which is pretty much a home game for Georgia. They go on the road to Ole Miss. That could be a little tricky. You get Missouri at home. They're at South Carolina in week, I guess that would be week 12. Maybe a little tricky late in the season. And then they finish with Georgia Tech. I'll say this. I think this team's either 11-1 or 12-0. I could live in a world where they go 10-2. If they drop one, maybe they shouldn't, because being on the road at Ole Miss and on the road at Alabama and on the road at South Carolina, those are three teams that are dangerous. And but it's hard for me to imagine this team winning less than 10 games.
Oh, without a question. They're a double-digit team. Without question, Jay. Yeah.
Georgia Bulldogs, I'm telling you, I'm not making my prediction, at least not yet. But I'm telling you, this is the kind of team that Kirby Smart wins titles with. All right, let's move along in the show here, Eltoro. I want to get into I want to have a little fun here. So, I've done radio now for over 30 years. And when I say I've done radio, I've done sports radio, I've done country radio, I've done rock radio, I've done gospel radio, I've done pop radio.
Hold on, Jay.
I've done a lot of radio. Okay. And in my rock radio life, I always like to carry around the Dr. J name, right? That was kind of a thing. I always had fun with that. I was a big fan. You're too young to remember this show. I was a big fan of a show called WKRP in Cincinnati way back in the day. And one of the main characters on there was a DJ named Dr. Johnny Fever. So Dr. J is going to have a little fun today. I've got prescriptions for 3 teams on what they've got to do to fix a problem. They've come into the doctor's office, and now they're going to get their prescriptions. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's start with your team, the Auburn Tigers. Now, the prescription for Auburn is this. Or the illness, right? The ailment, what they need help with is 1-score games. They went 5-7 last year. 6 of the 7 losses were 1-score losses. So if you flip those 6, they're 11-1. They only got beat in 1 game by more than 1 score. But it's kind of become an ongoing thing over the last few years. Now, excuse me, some of that I think can be fixed. And here's my prescription. 1, Alex Gillish he's got to establish confidence and culture. And the culture is this. When you get to the 4th quarter, I've watched Auburn now for years, and you have too, Eltoro, for the last few years. They get in the 4th quarter and they're looking at each other like, is somebody going to make a play? Instead of, dadgummit, I'm going to make the play. I'm going to win the game. There's a culture and confidence thing that I think Golish has to establish. I don't know how exactly to go about doing that. You can't just, it's not like you can mind meld with somebody, but he's got to establish a confident culture late in games.
Oh, absolutely, Jay. I agree with you 100%. They got to finish games. They have got to finish the ball game, man. And like you say, man, if they would have done that last year, man, things could look totally different. But I think that with Coach Golis' addition in his offense, I think this is the recipe for them to finish game because it wasn't because of the defense. The defense is still there. Coach Durkin, he's still there. The kids still feeding off him, playing off his energy. I mean, Coach Durkin is a player coach, man. He get them guys motivated, and he get them guys. I mean, they got them, man. They playing, Jay. You know what I mean? And so, and it was just remarkable to see, what he did with Auburn, man, and when he had the opportunity to run the program, man. Just the kid just fought harder for him. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to have that back. But yeah, Jay, they got to finish the ball game, man, and they got to go. And I'm gonna tell you one thing too, Jay. They got to win that Florida game. You talking about confidence? Like,
well, that was another. That's another part of my prescription, Eltoro. I'm glad you brought it up. You got to protect home field.
Yes,
Jordan here is a great atmosphere. You know that better than anybody. The fans come out. I don't care if you're 5-7 or 9-1. The fans come out. You got to protect home field, man. You got to win that Florida game, right? You can't be dropping a home game to Vanderbilt. You need to protect home field. So that would be prescription number 2. And then here's the final one. I think Alex Golesh can help this team win one-score games in the fourth quarter simply by making good in-game decisions and calling good plays in the fourth quarter. And look, everybody's throwing shade at Hugh Freeze, so whatever. I'll pile one more on. But I think it was the Oklahoma game. Might have been, it might have been A&M. Is it the A&M or Oklahoma game? I think it was A&M. In the fourth quarter, Auburn gets the ball in their own territory, and they start gashing runs. I mean, they're gashing them, right? And it's run after run after run. You get up to midfield, and then all of a sudden, hey, let's let Jackson Arnold, pull it out one time, and we'll throw a quick hitter out there. Well, he gets fooled by a linebacker who showed blitz and backed off, throws it right to him, and Auburn loses the lead, and from there it was kind of like game over. You can see the air come out of the tire. I think just being, if you're gashing somebody with the run with the lead in the fourth quarter, damn it, keep running the ball, man. Make them stop you.
Hey, I tell you this, Coach Gullis, he made an emphasis on he's going to run the piss off the ball.
That's his words, man.
So under Coach G, I don't think the running, stopping the running game and trying to find something else when the running game is good, I don't think that would be an option this year, Jay. He's going to run the piss out of the ball, man.
Yeah, no, that's what he says, and I think that will help them a lot in those one-score games. Patient number 2 coming into the doctor's office is USC and Lincoln Riley. And the diagnosis is this: you need to win in the Big Ten. Now, they've recruited pretty well the last couple of years. They picked up their recruiting. Jaden Maeva is a good quarterback, so I like the quarterback out there. But he has not adjusted to Big Ten football. You're not in the old Big 12. When he was at Oklahoma, they're in the old Big 12. Every game's like 45-39. This is not that. Nobody played defense in the Big 12. Everybody plays defense in the Big 10. Even the bad teams can play a little defense. And he just has not adjusted to it. He's got to find a way to improve his defense, which they did bring in Gary Patterson, the old head coach at TCU, to run the defense. They've got to run the football a little more effectively. And then Lincoln Riley needs to balance his offense.
Yes.
This is not the Kyler Murray, thing where, well, we're going to run around. We're going to throw it 40 times a game. You've got to find some balance in that offense. Lincoln Riley, college football is turning back into a line of scrimmage game. Lincoln Riley has not adjusted with it at all. And if he doesn't, then they're not going to make the playoffs. And I'm telling you, Eltoro, I think anything less than 9 regular season wins this year, and he's out of a job. If even 9-3 might get him out of a job because I don't think it'll get him in the playoffs.
I agree 100%, Jay. He has got to make some changes, and you're right. The most important change that he has to make that's going to be vital to this team is the defensive side. We got to get these guys physical. You can't you can't every week you can't go into this shootout thinking that you're just going to be able to throw the ball down the field and win on the last play. It don't work like that, Jay. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, Jay, if he's not able to find that what he needs as far as improving his team on the defensive end, he might not be there next year, Jay.
All right, patient number 3 into Dr. J's office today is kind of a sad patient. It's the Arkansas Razorbacks. They've been bad now for a while. And really, I think the illness is this. They're not committed to football at Arkansas right now. I just don't believe they're committed to football at Arkansas. The athletic director has talked about how much they're putting into the basketball program with John Calipari. Baseball program's great. But even though basketball can turn a profit, basketball turns a few $1 million in profit. If you're killing it at football, you can turn tens of millions of dollars in profit. And there's no excuse for Arkansas to be broke, to be poor. You've got Walmart and Tyson Chicken in your backyard. There's no excuse. It's not. There's a great story, Eltoro, when Frank Boyles was the athletic director at Arkansas. This is back in 1990. They were just getting ready to join the SEC. They had made a Final Four appearance. Frank Boyles wanted to build a new basketball arena. He had Nolan Richardson there coaching that team. So they had a hell of a basketball program, but they needed a new facility. So he goes to see Sam Walton, the Walmart guy, and he shows him the renderings of this beautiful state-of-the-art facility. And it wound up being probably the best basketball facility in the country at the time. And he goes, yeah, Mr. Walton, thank you for meeting with me. Shows him the renderings, and here's our plans for Arkansas basketball. We're going to be a national program. We're going to be going to Final Fours. We're going to be, the highest level. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Walton says, well, how much money are you trying to raise? He said, well, we're trying to raise $30 million. Guy sits down and strokes a check. So wow. That's, and now,
wow.
Depending on what sources you believe, some sources say he stroked a check for $15 million. I heard many years ago that he stroked a check for the whole 30.
Jay,
so
he stroked a check.
Yeah, but it was at least 15 million.
That's right. He stroked a check.
I heard it was the whole banana. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's money there. So go fix your program, man. There's no excuse for Arkansas to be as bad as they are. And you and I talked about this, but one of the rumors that was floating around when Arkansas was in their coaching search, and nothing against Ryan Silverfield, but one of the rumors that was floating around was that John Gruden wanted to coach in the SEC. Well, if John Gruden wanted to coach in the SEC and I'm Arkansas and I need a shot in the arm bad, John Gruden's going to give you a shot in the arm, man.
Jay, that would have changed the look of the program immediately. You know what I mean? And I'm going to tell you the one thing John Gruden would have done. He would have put an emphasis on that football program, and he would have enforced it that we get all the financial help that we need, you know what I mean, to help make this program better. And then also, Jay, I feel it would have showed that the commitment to the program. They want to get somebody here, you know what I mean, that can fire up a fan base, that has a ton of experience. Jay, like that would have been like out the door, man. That would have been out the door, man.
I would have done it. You spent the money to hire Calipari in basketball, right?
Right.
I mean, look, Ryan Silverfield may turn out to be great. I don't know. Anyway, that's my prescription for Arkansas. Dr. J's prescriptions for those 3 teams. All right, let's move the show along now into a segment. I want to talk about something that I'm calling big earlies. We all know what the big uglies are in football, but the big earlies are big season-defining games early in the season, week 3 or earlier, that will define the season for the winner and maybe define the season for the loser of the game as well. And I've just picked out 3 of them for us to talk about a little bit, and that a couple of them they're kind of obvious. One, Texas hosting Ohio State in week 2.
Mhm.
That's the biggest game on the calendar in the first few weeks of the season. I think they're going to be, when the AP poll comes out, they're both going to be, I think, in the top 4. So you got Texas and Ohio State week 2. It matters because obviously it's got massive college football playoff implications. And it's a measuring stick game for the Big Ten and the SEC. The SEC needs this win, just like Steve Sarkisian needs this win.
Jay, Texas better not lose this game, man. You understand? You talking about a season killer. You know, it's championship or bust for Texas, Jay. And you talking about a season killer with a loss to Ohio State? Are you kidding me? And this early in the season, like, Jay, that would be, oh my goodness, man. They have to win that game, Jay. They have to win that game. You know, whatever Arch Manning, Heisman Trophy candidate, I think he's a top runner. Hey, man, it's on the line. You know what I mean? Steve Sarkisian, reputation in big games, on the line. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to show a lot about the Texas football program facing off against Ohio State, Jay. And it will be no excuse for a loss.
Oh, absolutely. So, you've got Arch Manning. Now, you got Julian Sayin, too, at Ohio State. Probably not going to be quite the pro prospect that Arch is, because it's not as big. He's kind of a small guy. But I mean, if you're Texas, if Texas loses that game, their schedule is pretty dadgum brutal. If Texas loses that game, they're flirting with maybe a 9-3, and that would be a disaster. They still might get in with that schedule. As hard as that schedule is, they still might get in at 9-3. But even if they do, you lose 3 games with this roster, and I can't imagine losing 3 games with this roster.
Jay, this game is so important, and the reason why, Jay, if you lose this game, Jay, I also think you're gonna lose the fan base. With the expectations, expectation that the Texas Longhorn fan base has for this team, and you go and lose to Ohio State. Jay,
let me throw a possibility at you. Yeah, let me throw a possibility at you. What if they don't just lose the game? What if they lose it by like 14?
Oh my God!
What if final score is like 27-13?
Oh my goodness, Jay. He may not make it out the stadium.
In our bold prediction segment in this same show, I told you that my bold prediction, something to watch out for in case unless it doesn't happen, then forget I said it. But Ohio State not making the playoff. If they lose this game, they still got to play the defending champs. They still got to go to the West Coast, play USC. Mm-hmm. They still got to play Michigan into the year. They've got a tough road if they lose this one. So it's really big for both. And we'll be talking a lot about that game at the end of the year, one way or the other. Second game, big earlies. I think this is a pretty big one. It's week 2. It's Oklahoma at Michigan. Now, it's big. I think it's a little bigger for Oklahoma than it is for Michigan. Michigan just hired Kyle Whittingham. He's just getting there. So I think the Michigan people, if Oklahoma were to go up there and win a game by 6 or 7 points, I don't think the Michigan fans are going to be mad about it. Look, Whittingham's trying to establish his culture and his schemes and his thing. But for Oklahoma, this is a huge one because Oklahoma went to the playoffs last year. Coming into last year, people forget that Brent Venables was firmly on the hot seat coming into last year. He was coming off another 7-5, wasn't looking good. Then he wins a bunch of one-score games down the stretch of the season, finishes 10-2, gets into the playoff, then loses to Alabama, loses a 17-point lead to Alabama. I think this is a big game for Brent Venables in Oklahoma. Another one with a brutal schedule. They go to Georgia a couple of weeks after that. They play Texas in the Red River game. If Oklahoma loses to Michigan in week 2, they could start the season 2-3, and that would be a disaster for Brent Venables.
And I'm going to tell you what else would be a disaster if their offense hasn't improved. That would be a disaster. You know what I mean? I think that's the biggest question with Oklahoma. Has their offense improved from last year? You know what I mean? Defense kept them in a lot of games. You know what I mean? And they just weren't able to do a lot of things on offense, Jay. And so this is a big year to see if they can do that. And it's coming into this game, Jay. I'm already looking at this game. I don't know if you're a betting man or not, but I will pick the under because I think this is going to be a bloodbath, defensive, physical, backyard, old school, grinded out football game, man.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit because both coaches like physical football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both coaches were defensive coordinators, but that's kind of what they do. So it wouldn't surprise me. The thing with Oklahoma's offense is the offensive line's got to get better. Now, last year, in fairness to them, they were starting a true freshman and 2 redshirt freshmen on the offensive line. Those 3 guys should be better.
Mm-hmm.
Young players do get better. Now, if you weren't good as a 23-year-old junior, I don't expect you to take a big jump as a 24-year-old senior. But if you're an 18-year-old freshman, I expect you to be better as a 19-year-old sophomore. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
So I think their offensive line has a chance to be better. They had no running game last year. They finished exactly 1 slot, I think, ahead of Alabama in the rushing totals, 1 slot ahead.
Wow.
So they've got to find a way to run the ball with the running backs, not with John Mateer, with the running backs. And but if they don't, like I said, if they lose that game, I don't think that I don't expect them to go to Athens and beat Georgia. I don't expect them to beat Texas in the Red River game. So you lose that game, there's a good chance you're 2-3 as we're getting into the middle of the season, and that's going to be tough.
Of course.
All right, let's move to week 3 now. I got one game in week 3 I want to talk about. Your Auburn Tigers hosting the Florida Gators. Now, we talked about Auburn needing to protect home field. There's a lot more that goes into this too. This is a big momentum game, I think, for both teams. The Golis-Sumrall connection is fascinating because I started hearing from people in Troy that I know where Sumrall was the head coach for 2 years. I started hearing last October, before Hugh Freeze had even gotten fired, that Sumrall wanted the Auburn job and was going to get the Auburn job. And then things changed down the stretch. Florida got involved. I think there was some crossed wires, if you will, between Sumrall and the Auburn administration. And they wind up with Alex Golesh. I like Alex Golesh. I think I thought him and Sumrall were the 2 best G6 coaches available for hire last year. But for that reason, this is a big game for both of those guys in establishing themselves early in their program.
Without a question, man. And I think this is a huge game for Auburn, man. This is huge for Auburn. At home, SEC game. They have to come out on top. This is a great momentum game. This is a great confidence booster. This is the thriller in Manila. You understand what I'm telling you, Jay? This is it, man. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be a tough one, Jay. I mean, it's going to be a tough one. Both coaches have chip on their shoulders. You know what I mean? And, it's SEC football. It's Auburn and Florida. They always battle well. You know what I mean? And so it's going to be close. And I think I think what give this game the edge is Barr and Gullis chemistry. I think that's give the guys the edge, man. But this is going to be a hard nose. This is going to be a hard fought game right here, Jay.
It is, and I think if you're Auburn, you kind of feel good because Florida is going to have, even though Aaron Philo was at Georgia Tech with the offensive coordinator, he's never been a starter for him before. So Aaron Philo, if you're you got to feel pretty good if you're Auburn with Aaron Philo in just his 3rd game as the starter at Florida. I would rather play Florida in week 3 than I would in week 9 or 10. I can promise you.
Absolutely.
That.
Absolutely.
So it's a huge game for both teams. If Auburn wins the game, I can see Auburn going 8-4, right? And maybe they pull a big upset somewhere and go 9-3. If Florida wins the game, same thing. I could see them going 8-4, 9-3. The loser of this game, I think, is looking more like a 7-5, or maybe if they stub their toes, 6-6 kind of thing. So it's big. It's big for both Auburn and Florida, no question. Hey, before we go, Eltoro, I want to get your opinion about this. So this, a couple of weeks ago, the Big 12 announced that Monster Energy is going to put a jersey patch on all the Big 12 teams' jerseys. Then the other day, we had this announcement from Ohio State that they've done a deal with Chase Bank, and they're going to put the Chase Bank logo on their jerseys. They're going to pay them between $15 and $17 million a year to do that. And then later the same day, Notre Dame comes out and announces that SoFi, the banking company, is going to put a jersey patch on their jerseys, and Notre Dame's jerseys are worth $18 to $20 million a year.
Wow.
So here's my question for you, man. If Auburn was going to do a jersey patch deal, I think most of us would assume it would be with Yellowwood, right?
Right.
It's the biggest booster. That's kind of what you. But if it's not Yellowwood, who's it going to be? Who should it be?
Tim Cook, Apple. Hey, Jay, he hung around the campus a lot during my time there, and even after, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Apple, man, we should have the Apple patches on the Auburn jerseys, man, without a doubt.
It's
and maybe get a free iPhone here now, Jay.
It's funny because Tim Cook, at Apple, I could see the Apple thing on there. If I'm the Auburn administration, I'm at least making that phone call. I'm at least exploring that possibility. What about the Alabama jersey? I think everybody would assume with Alabama they're going to get the Mercedes deal done with the Mercedes plant up there. But if it's not going to be Mercedes, who would you put on the Alabama jersey?
Tide disintergent.
The detergent. I thought you were going to say something like Big Bob Gibson's barbecue or something. Baumhauer's, right? They're going to do the Baumhauer's thing. I don't know. It's the jersey patches are coming, man. We might as well get used to it, whether you like it or whether you don't. The jersey patches are coming because there's a lot of money to be made with those jersey patches.
I tell you one team that should be very aggressive on getting a patch on their jersey in their backyard. And that's the Arkansas Razorback. They need to be running to Walmart, man.
Walmart. I need some Walmart money.
Absolutely.
I mean, my goodness, man. Anyway, all right, final thoughts. If you watched all of today's show, what did you think of our bold predictions? And what's one that you have? Do you have one that's better? Any of the ones that we thought of? What's the biggest early season game that you're looking forward to for your team? You could leave it down there in the comments and let us know any of that. Look down below, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, leave a comment, costs you nothing, takes just a few seconds, helps us out a lot. Eltoro, man, fun show. You have a good night, buddy.
Same to you, brother.
To know ball is to love ball. See y'all later.